Hey there. One of the first body weight exercises I like to start with is a wall sit. This is great for quads. Try to do it for about a minute, working up to 2 minutes. So basically just get up against the wall and put your back against the wall and bring your feet out and lower yourself to right about where you're like 90 degrees and hold it, and that's it. Be surprised how hard this is to do just in terms of holding this position. I do like to warm up a little bit before doing this. So basically just walk Nelly for 2 miles, and you'll notice as you get into this a little bit more, your quads will start to shake, and you just want to hold it. Okay, coming up on a minute, and that's a little over 1 minute. So that was a wall sit. Try to do 3 sets, 1 minute each, minute rest in between, and try to work those up to minute and 30, and go down to two sets of those. So that's good exercise start. Next exercise I do, body weight. I use a band. You don't need to use a band, but if you have one, it can make it really hard. So you can start off without a band and kind of work towards one, but basically get into a position where your feet are about as wide as your shoulder, okay, and then you shift to one leg. Get your balance on that one leg, and then extend that leg out to the side. It's a standing clamshell, and do 10 reps. Shift legs, and 10 on the other side. Shift again, and now this time, as you go out, also extend back a little bit. Shift legs, and to the side and back. And rest for 30 seconds. So really find this exercise works all the glutes and your stability, because you're on one leg. So second set will be a lot harder. Shift, keep a wide stance. Especially if you have that band, you want to keep tension on that band the whole time. And this first set is just out to the side. Switch legs, and this one is to the side and back. Which point now you should really be working it, really feeling it. Quite the burn. So this next exercise is a clamshell side plank. And again, do not need the band, but I do like the band just for a little, not a little actually, and a lot of added tension. But you can definitely do these without. So it's basically get on your side like this, on your forearm, and on your side lift up and hold the position, and basically again doing a clamshell while you're in the side plank position. And you'll find these really challenging after doing the single leg standing clamshells. Let's do 10 aside and shift sides. Shift again. And shift. Two sets of 10 on each side. That's one rep or one set. Do 2 sets of that. Okay, next exercise is glute bridge. Probably seen these done. Again, going with my band. But you don't need one. In all these places I'm putting the band right above the knee. You want to take a wide stance with your feet. Angle them slightly inward with your toes so that you can exert external pressure on the band. I don't know if you can see that. I'm using a band. If you are, that can put a lot of tension on your hips. So basically just extend up and hold this position. I like to just do a static hold for 30 seconds. Keeping a lot of external pressure on the band. And then go down, back flat, and up. 5 seconds. And then down. And then up. Just repeat that. Now, variation of this is to go into a single leg, which can be difficult to do, but work up towards it, where again you get into this position and then lift one leg up and hold. Come down, switch leg, go back up on the other leg and hold. And down, switch leg, and up. Repeat. Doing these repeats without going down. From there, I like to go into directly one of the first ab workouts routines, and that's basically just get into this crunch position. Legs straight up here, straight like that, and just hold this position. Your back should be against the floor, your hips tilted slightly upward so that you have a complete flat back, and you can alternate positions, keeping your back flat, your head down, your head up. I like to hold this position for at least a minute. And then abs start to burn, keep your head level. And you don't tuck your chin. Just keep it back and lift your shoulders up and hold there for as long as you can. At this point, your abs should really be starting to burn. This next exercise is called the bird dog, because you're basically pointing like a bird dog, but get on all fours like this. Your knees and arms are shoulder length. Your hands are right over your your hands are right under your shoulders. And what you want to do first is get into a neutral back position. That basically means that your butt's not up in the air, nor is it tucked all the way in. It's kind of right in the middle. So just do a couple of hyperextensions of your back and find that neutral back position. And once you've done that, extend the opposite arm and opposite legs. You don't need to like lift them up. You really want them to be kind of parallel with your body. And then you can bring them back, not touch your hand to your knee. And then again, extend out. Hold for 10 seconds. Look forward. And just repeat this for a minute. You want to tighten up your abs when you're doing this, and just keep yourself really stable. Okay, now get back in that original position. Reset your back with a couple of pelvic tilts and hyperextensions. Find that neutral back and go with the opposite arm and leg. To take the next recovery, just basically sitting on my heels. I find this is a really good way to stretch my calves and my ankles. The next next exercise go right into is again a back exercise. It's called it's known as the Superman because of the position you're in. And try to hold the position for 1 minute. And you can certainly do repeats or try to hold it longer. But it's a pretty challenging position to hold, but a good one. So basically get on your stomach and you're going to pretend you'd be like Superman flying through the air. So you're going to lift your feet up and your hands up. And you can start and just try to lift your quads off the ground as much as possible by squeezing your glutes. And you can extend your arms forward and hold the position there, and then bring them back. And keep your forearms parallel to the ground so that your shoulders are nice and tight. And lift those feet up from your quads as much as possible. Extend forward and lift. Good one. So next really good exercise is a real popular one. It's the front plank. And again, I just try to do these a little bit in succession and to not have to do multiple sets of one individual exercise, but mix them up. But you can certainly do multiple sets. I try to do a longer hold of at least a minute on each one. So I do my front planks. I start off on my forearms. So keep my head basically down. Tighten the abs. Tighten the glutes. And hold this position. The 1 minute mark, I get up and start with my elbows flaring out, just to slowly drop. This is an eccentric drop. Do a pull up and hold 1 inch from the ground for as long as you can. Alright. Get back into a Superman, just briefly. Get back into stretch position. Forget what this one is called. Okay. So you mentioned functional strength, and I don't do a whole lot upper body. So I was saying, battery died. You mentioned functional strength, and for that I do a lot of core exercises that focus on the hips, glutes, quads, hamstrings, abs. I don't do a ton upper body because I swim, but I do some shoulder mobility for swimming. So that's why most of these exercises are kind of core and lower body focused. But you could definitely do more planks that incorporate a lot of her body, push-ups, pull-ups, that's a whole other thing. I primarily do dead hangs, again for my shoulder mobility. But this next exercise is a really good one. It's a variation of the single leg deadlift. And I do it with a small medicine ball weight that I can hold. But it's very similar in regards that it really works core stability at the same time. Everything, every part of your posterior chain, your lower back, your glutes, your hamstrings. So with the weight, if you don't have a weight, that's fine too. You just basically shift your balance to one leg, and the other leg you keep it straight and drop down and go as far as you can go and come back up. You can steady yourself with that other leg or even with your hand, but you want to keep that leg straight and also not pivot your hips when you do this, flaring them from side to side. So the key again is stability, which you might find difficult to do after doing all those other exercises because your glutes and your hamstrings have already had a pretty good workout. So at this point, I'm not looking for tons of rep, but I'm really looking for that real kind of deep eccentric burn as I go down. And I'm currently on my left leg, which is my weakest side by a lot. So when I do these, it's really challenging for me to do when I'm balanced on my left leg. When I switch over sides and I'm doing my right, I find it a lot easier to do. I tend to do on my right side 75% of the reps I do on my left, just because my right side is stronger. So I spend the time doing the reps on the side that's weaker. I have challenges with balance, but that's okay. Again, the whole point is to try to just be as stable as possible. And go as slow as possible too. Okay. Okay, so the next exercise I do is squatting, but I don't use a bar and can use weight. This particular time I'm not using weight. I'm again using my band. But the first thing you want to be able to do is get into a seated squat position and be able to hold it comfortably. So getting all the way down and being able to sit there comfortably for at least 30 seconds. And you'll find after doing these exercises, your hips are stiff. So getting in that seated squat is not as easy as it sounds. You have to flare your feet out a little bit like this. That's okay. And as you get loosened up a bit, you can bring them back in. And watch for pain in your knees while you do this, because that's what I get. And you're going to need your arms out here in order to kind of balance your weight as you're squatting, unless you're really experienced with this. But you want to be all the way down to the point that your hamstrings are essentially touching your calves, and you can come up. And a variation of this is just basically doing that. I like to do it up and down, that is. And I like to do it with a band because I'm doing the same thing I was doing earlier, is I'm maintaining external tension and external rotation in my hips as I do this. And it's just squatting down slowly and coming down. And if you want, holding a position for a few seconds and just going down really slow. And as you go down slow, push your knees or your legs outward so you come into that full squat position, and then slowly come up. And down. You can do as many sets of those reps as you're comfortable. The last exercise I'm going to do is calves, and primarily for my Achilles issues that I have. So part of my current rehab, but it's a good exercise to do kind of consistently to prevent any Achilles issues. And there's a lot of really good progressions on this for calf strength and stability. But basically, you want to get up on your toes and hold for 30 seconds at a time. And on both feet at this point. And go down 10 seconds. Come back up as high as you can for 30 seconds. And if you need to stabilize yourself anyway, perfectly fine. And down for 10 seconds. Back up. down. And last one of this set, back up. Now there are a lot of different ways to progress this one. If you can, just bracing yourself, you would shift to one leg and balance yourself the best you can. Be a little bit more challenging on your tippy toes, but that's part of the progression. See how long you can balance without. And this continues as just as the isometric portion of it. Once you're able to progress, then you can do up and then come slowly down, which is the eccentric, and then up and slowly down, and then up and down, and up and slowly down. Then you can progress that to use with weight. Then you can progress that to single leg, and then single leg with weight. So those are a few exercises I do. There's a couple other variations and a couple other things I mix in from time to time, but I find those to be really best for kind of functional strength. Talk to you soon.